morning students, welcome to Maths online class. Next problem is prove that every line segment has a one and only one midpoint. That is, if you have a line segment then that has only one midpoint, that you have to prove. Okay, any line segment cannot have more than one midpoint. If you do not agree with this statement, then what? Let there be two midpoints, like that we assume, then what we get, we check. Okay, so you take one line segment, I'll take that as a AB. Now we have to prove this line segment has only one midpoint. Okay, if not, then what? It has more than one midpoint. I'll take AB has two midpoints, C and D. Okay, what C and D are? C and D are midpoints of AB. To prove this, every line segment has one and only one midpoint. We take, if possible, let there be two midpoints C and D for a line segment AB. Okay, so if possible, let C and D be two midpoints of a line segment AB. Okay, then what happens? Just see, I'll draw a rough figure. Suppose this is a line segment AB. We assumed that C is the midpoint of AB, right? C is the midpoint of AB means, can I write AC, that is equal to half of AB? What is AC? AC is half of AB, right? Suppose a full line is of length 10 centimeter, then AC is 5 centimeter, right? So then AC is half of AB, half of 10 is what? AC. So therefore we can write, therefore AC, that is equal to half of AB. This step we wrote, why? Because we assumed C is the midpoint of AB. Since C is the midpoint of AB. Okay, same type you have one more midpoint, that is D. So like that, if you write for D, then what we get? See, you have a line segment AB, and we assumed that D is the midpoint of AD. D is also midpoint of AB. So for example, AB is 10 centimeter, then AD must be 5 centimeter, right? So can I write AD is equal to half of AB in general? AB may be of any length, then since D is the midpoint, that lies exactly middle of A and B. Okay, so we can write AD is half of AB. Okay, here I showed that by example, AD is 5, that is half of 10. Okay, half of 10 means half of AB. So therefore same type we can write one more, and I'll write down, and AD is equal to half of AB. This one we wrote why? Because since D is the midpoint of AB. Midpoint of AB. Okay, and I'll take this as equation 1 and this as equation number 2. Now you come in equation 1 and equation 2. You have axiom that things which are equal to the same thing are equal to one another. Now AC and AD both are equal to the same thing, half AB. Okay, so what we can say about AC and AD, they are equal, we can say. Okay, that is by Euclid's axiom. You know that things which are equal to the same thing are equal to one another. AC and AD are equal to one another, we can say. Okay, by Euclid's axiom. Which axiom? That this one, I'll write in a bracket things which are equal to the same thing, are equal to one another. Okay, using this axiom, Euclid's axiom, what we can say? AC and AD, these two are equal to one another, we can say. Euclid's axiom AC is equal to what? AD. Okay, AC is equal to AD. So AC is equal to AD. That means this point D should be on the line on the point C. AC line segment and AD line segments, they are equal to one another. See, AC is like this and AD is equal to what? AD is equal to AC, means the point C and point D, they must coincide each other. Since we got AC line segment is equal to AD line segment, they are equal in the length. We got here AC and AD, they are equal in length, means their initial point is same and their end points are what? C and D, they will coincide each other. So we can say C is equal to D. Okay, so from this what we can say, C and D points they coincide each other. So that implies C and D coincide each other, and we have one more Euclid's axiom that things which coincide each other are equal to one another. By using that axiom, we can say C and D are equal. Why? Because C and D are coinciding each other. Why? Because we got AC is equal to AD. AC is equal to AD means point C and D, they coincide each other. And by Euclid's axiom, we can say C is equal to D. Things which coincide are equal to one another by using that axiom. So therefore, C is equal to D by Euclid's axiom. Things which coincide are equal to one another. So this proves what? We assumed C and D are two midpoints of the line segment AB, but what we got here, they are equal. Means they are not separate points, they are a single point. C and D, they are one and the same. Okay, so this implies what? This implies any line segment that has only one midpoint. Okay, this implies AB has only one midpoint. Okay, so that is the conclusion that shows what? Here we taken AB is any line segment and here we proved that has only one midpoint. So that proves what? Any line segment has a one and only one midpoint. Okay, thank you. Next problem is in the given figure, if AC is equal to BD, then prove that AB is equal to CD. Now you are given this figure, line AD is given to you and B and C points are like this, such that AC, this much AC is equal to BD. Okay, using that you have to prove AB is equal to CD, that you have to prove. I will start with this. Okay, you are given what you are given, AC is equal to BD. Start with that and from this we subtract the same quantity. Okay, we subtract the same quantity from both sides of this. Okay, I will subtract BC. Subtracting BC from both sides, we get what? We get, see, you have like this AC, another side you have BD. From that what we are subtracting? We are subtracting BC. Okay, so if you subtract BC, what you get? What we get to see that, you have to see that figure. Okay, you have like this AC, right? This is AC and here you have a B, point B. Okay, part of the figure I highlighted here. AC, from AC minus BC means you have to subtract BC part from AC. I will erase. Subtracting means you delete that, erase that. See, if you erase that BC part, what you get? AB. Okay, so AC minus BC, that gives you what? That gives you AB, and same type you have to observe on the right side also. What is BD? See, BD is this much, and here you have point D, okay, sorry, point C. I will highlight that part BD line segment like this, and point C is here. From BD you have to subtract BC, means delete BC part from what? From BD. BC part you have to delete from BD part. So then how much left, how much line segment you have? CD, right? So that is a CD. That is what we have to prove. AB is equal to CD. So just you have to subtract same quantity from both sides of this given thing, that is AC is equal to BD. You have to subtract BC. Then you have to observe, if you delete a BC portion from AC and BD, what you are getting? That is nothing but AB on one side and CD on another side, okay, and they are equal. And what we used here, you know that one Euclid's axiom that if you subtract the same thing, if equals are subtracted from equals, then the remainders are equal, okay. So these two are equals, and from that equals, what we done here, we subtracted equals, okay, we subtracted BC. From equals we subtracted equals. So then the reminders, what are the reminders? They are equal, okay. So here we used what? Euclid's axiom, by Euclid's axiom that if equals are subtracted from equals, then the reminders are equal, okay. Using that axiom we got like this, AB is equal to CD, and you can see that by observing the figure also, okay. Thank you. Next question is why axiom 5 in the list of Euclid's axiom considered as a universal truth? Why? Because that axiom 5, that is true for anything in any part of the world. For example, if you take this scale and if you take only this much part, then whole scale that is clearly greater than this much part, right? And if you take one chalk piece, then if I cut this chalk piece like this, then whole chalk piece is this much, that is clearly greater than the part, okay. So like that you can apply axiom 5 for anything in any part of the world. So that is considered as a universal truth, okay. Thank you. Next question is give a definition for each of the following terms. First one, parallel lines. The lines which never intersect each other are called parallel lines, okay. If you have two lines like this, then they will intersect if you produce in this side like this, okay, but they are not parallel lines. If you draw a line like this, then if you produce these two lines to any extent in either in this direction or in the left side direction, they will never meet each other. So such lines are called parallel lines. So parallel lines means what? That are the lines which never intersect each other, okay. So never intersecting lines that are called parallel lines. And next are perpendicular lines. Perpendicular lines, when you have perpendicular lines, if two lines intersect each other at 90 degree, then they are called perpendicular lines. See, for example, if you take two line segments which are intersecting like this, then at the point of intersection you are not having 90 degree, okay. So clearly you can see that they are not perpendicular lines. And when you have perpendicular lines, if you have a perpendicular lines, then that perpendicular lines will meet or intersect at how much degree? At 90 degree. So any two lines which are intersecting at 90 degree, they are called perpendicular lines. So if two lines intersect each other at 90 degree, then they are called perpendicular lines. Okay. And next, line segment. What is a line segment? Line segment means like this. Okay, this is called a line segment. So what is a line segment? Line segment, actually line means that is like this, infinite. Okay, in both direction you can extend this in both direction to any extent. Line segment means that is the part of the line. It is the part of the line drawn from one point to another point. Okay, so line segment means what? That is the part of the line which is drawn from one point to another point. So that is a line segment. Next, radius of the circle. This one you know already, you learnt in a circle chapter. What is the radius of the circle? So if you have a circle like this, for any circle you have what? You have a center, right? So if you draw a circle like this is the center of the circle, and if you take any point on the circle, any point you can take, and if you join this center O with that point, then what you have? You have radius. So this distance, that is called radius. What is this distance? That is the radius of the circle. So what is the radius of the circle? That is the distance. Okay, distance between what and what? Distance between O and P. What is O? O is the center, and if you take this as P, P is any point on the circle we taken. Okay, so radius of the circle, that is the distance between the center and any point on the circle. Okay, that is called a radius of the circle. Next, square. This one also you studied already. Square means that is the quadrilateral in which all sides are equal and all angles are equal to 90 degree. Okay, equal to 90 degree. All angles are equal means all angles are equal to 90 degree. That is understood. Next, you have Playfair's axiom. You have many equivalent versions of Euclid's fifth postulate, but in that one equivalent version of Euclid's fifth postulate you are given, and that is the Playfair's axiom in your textbook, that says like this: for every line L and for every point P, for every line L and for every point P not lying on L, this point P should not be on this line, not lying on line L, then there exists a unique line M passing through the point P and parallel to the line L. I will show you by using figure. Okay, you have one line segment L and you take one point P which is not lying on the line L, any point P. Okay, for every line segment for every line L and for every point P which is not lying on the line L, you have a unique line M which is passing through the point P, which is passing through the point P and parallel to what? Parallel to L. Suppose you are given one line segment L and one point P, then there is always a unique line M which is passing through the point P and parallel to L. Okay, there are several lines which are passing through the point P, but only one line is there, that is passing through the point P and parallel to L. Okay, for a given point P, you have infinitely many lines are passing through that, but only one line which is passing through the point P and parallel to L. That is about Playfair's axiom. Okay, thank you. So next question is, how would you rewrite Euclid's fifth postulate so that it would be easier to understand? I wrote on that Euclid's fifth postulate in a easier way so that you can understand that easily than original fifth postulate. Okay, if a line falling on a two straight lines, then the two lines if produced will meet on that side on which the sum of two interior angles is less than 180 degree. On which side sum of two interior angles is less than 180 degree, on that side the two straight lines if you produce that will meet. Okay. So I'll explain you through one figure. Suppose you have two line segments like this, and if one more line say L that is falling on these two lines M and N, and if I take this side, you can see that this angle is less than 90 degree. For example, I will take this angle as 60 degree, and this angle is also less than 90 degree. Clearly you can see that this is not perpendicular. These two lines are not perpendicular, means and you can see this is less than 90 degree. I will take this as 50 degree. Okay. What is the sum of these two interior angles? 60 plus 50, that is 110 degree, right? And this 110 degree, that is less than 180 degree, right? Sum of these two interior angles, that is 110 degree, that is less than 180 degree. And what about the sum of two interior angles on the other side? If this is 60 degree, then this angle is how much? Total angle on one side of a straight line should be 180. So remaining angle is how much in 180? If you subtract 60, you will get a 120 degree, right? So this is 120 degree, and here 50 is there in the 180, 50 is there here, and remaining is how much? That is 130 degree. And if you take a sum of these two interior angles, that gives you 250 degree. Okay, that is not less than 180 degree. On which side of a transversal sum of two interior angles is less than 180 degree, on that side the two lines M and N will meet. If you produce that two lines like this, okay, if you produce these two lines on the side on which sum of two interior angles is less than 180 degree, on that side that two straight lines will meet each other. If you produce these two lines in this direction, they never meet each other. Okay, they will go far away. So this is Euclid's fifth postulate. Okay, thank you. Next and the last question of this chapter is does Euclid's fifth postulate imply the existence of parallel lines? Explain. Okay, yes, that Euclid's fifth postulate imply the existence of a parallel lines. Why? Because you have an answer like this. If a straight line L that is falling on two straight lines M and N in such a way that the sum of two interior angles is equal to 180 degree, is 180 degree. Here you can see that on the left side of the line L, sum of two interior angles, for example I taken 120 and 160, sum of these two interior angles is how much degree? Is 180 degree. Okay. So then what happens? Then according to Euclid's fifth postulate, the lines means M and N, they will not meet on the left side of L. Why? Because sum of these two interior angles is not less than 180 degree. According to Euclid's fifth postulate, M and N when they intersect, when they will meet, if sum of two interior angles is less than 180 degree on left side, then M and N they will meet on the left side. But here sum of these two interior angles is equal to 180, that is not less than 180. So these two lines M and N they will not meet on the left side of this line L. Okay. But if you have a sum of two interior angles on the left side of L is 180 degree, then the sum of two interior angles on the right side of L is also 180 degree. Why? Because see here you have 120 degree. So what is the remaining angle here? Total should be 180 degree, in that 120 is here, so remaining is 60 here. Okay. See here total angle should be 180 degree, but in that 60 is here, so remaining is how much? That is 120 degree. So here also you will get what? You will get the sum of these two interior angles is equal to 180 degree. So according to Euclid's fifth postulate, these two lines they will not meet on the right side, on another side of a L also, that is on the right side of L also. Why? Because you have sum of these two interior angles that is equal to 180, that is not less than 180. According to Euclid's fifth postulate, these two lines will meet on the side on which the sum of two interior angles is less than 180, but here sum of two interior angles is not less than 180, it is equal to 180. So these two lines M and N, they will not meet on the right side of L also. So if these two lines M and N, they will not meet on the left side as well as on the right side of L also. So they will not meet on both side of L, means they are never intersecting lines. Okay, they will never meet on the left side of L as well as on the right side of L also. So never intersecting lines means they are nothing but parallel lines. Okay, so this is the answer for that question. Thank you.